Hello, I'm David Waumsley. In this video, I wanted to talk about what I feel is my most favorite code snippet for Beaver Builder. A very simple thing that allows you to make whole columns clickable if they contain a link or an anchor tag. And I think it's a really handy and flexible alternative to two Beaver Builder modules, the call out module and the call to action modules. Let me just show you my mock-up. And here we are. We've just got regular columns with whatever content that we want to put in. And as you can see, the whole column is clickable. And here we've got a parent column with some child columns within them for more complex layouts, and the whole parent is clickable. So that's what I'm talking about here. Let me just go quickly over the benefits, and I've written these down. Well, the first one is that it's a solution for Beaver Builder light users who don't have the call out and the call to action modules. But for me as a premium user, I think I can achieve more complex layouts with this. You have to remember that the call out and the call to action modules were things that came out when Beaver Builder came out, and a lot has changed since. So we've got columns within columns, and then perhaps more recently we've got Beaver Builder version 2.2 where it added a lot more styling options for the individual modules. So I kind of see that the call out and call to action modules not so needed these days. For me, it's also more of a point and click experience to set up for clients. They just click on the thing that they want to change, and that comes up perhaps more intuitive than, say, clicking on a call out module and having to work through the tabs for the different types of content. And also, I feel it's just so much more snappier. It's probably only milliseconds, but it's quicker to load an individual module than it will be a more complex module with a bunch of tabs on it. So what I've done is I've entirely disabled these modules, the call out and call to action modules. And I've done it using a trick which I talked about in a blog post before, where you can completely stop it. If you want zero resources, back-end resources being used by these modules, you can use this. Hardly makes any difference, but I do it because everything helps. Now, first, I need to thank the person behind the script, because it certainly was not me. It was Carlos Velasco, and he is a member of the Beaver Builder dev team. He started in support back in 2017, and he's based in the Philippines, and he shared quite a lot of useful snippets on GitHub. And I've used a number of these. Let me just quickly go over to the one for this one. It's over here. And this will allow me also to thank Zach Pyle. I think he might be the person who told me about this snippet in the first place, and it's been really, really handy. But also, he's contributed here. So he's picked up on a little bugbear that was one for me. It's trying to, when you're in the editor, it's trying to make the whole column clickable, which gets in the way of trying to edit things. So he came up with a solution which works well, and Carlos has added his own take on it. I've used Carlos, but both could work in this case. So, okay, thanks to both. For the rest of this, I will just talk about the hover over effect that I've added and some other little details. So it is part of the templates that is in my Beaver Junction plugin, so you can try out things. And if you downloaded this earlier, you probably missed it because I didn't add the image to go with it, but it's there now and it's slightly updated as well. Okay, so let me go into this site, which is got the light version of Beaver Builder installed. It's just a demo site. So this is a row template. I'll go to my custom rows, and here's clickable columns. It's a row, so I'll need to drag it into its own row for the examples. Now, you probably won't want to use these examples. The first thing to know to make this work is you need to go into the individual columns that you're using, into the column settings, into the advanced tab, and to go down and put in this class selector of clickable call over here to make sure that that works on the columns. And you'll need to do the same if you've got a more complex layout here where you want the parent column, not the child, to be clickable. Then you'll need to go in, just go here and go to the very same with the parent settings here. Now, what I've done is it's the JavaScript that's making all of this work. And in this case, I've just put it in the row settings. So using the extra plugin that you'll need by the Beaver Builder team, we can add the JavaScript here. Now, probably in most cases, this is not the best place for it. If you know you're only using it on one row only, then that's up to you if you want to leave it here. Developers are more likely to perhaps and queue their own file where they've got their JavaScript in it. If you've got the right kind of theme that allows you to put JavaScript there, you can put it there. If not, and you want to use this across your site, then you might want to just use what's in Beaver Builder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of this and I'm going to move it out. And what I'm going to do is put it into the global settings, which you can get to from here, or you could just use the shortcode. So I'm going to go into that one. That's the one I want. Go into the JavaScript here and save that. And now wherever I put clickable call into any of my columns through my site, then it's going to work for me. As you can see, when I'm in the editor, that's the improvement there. You can see it's no longer clickable there. But as soon as I save out this and view it as a visitor, then the script is going to work fully on that. Okay, let me just quickly talk about this CSS. It's not needed, and you might want to just strip it out, but I'll just talk you through it. Let's just go into row settings to the CSS here. Okay, if you saw my last video, I was doing some of the very similar kind of things here, particularly with here we've got little effect where we've got a bit of box shadow appearing and also the box is lifting. And if we just go to what's lifting it on hover here, we have this transform translate. Now I used this in my last video in a slightly different way. After translate, I got two values and that was the X and Y. Here we can define it in a different way where we can put translate X only and then just put the one value in, which I've done, which is -8 pixels here. If it was plus, it would be traveling in the opposite direction. And again, the same sort of thing I was doing before using this ease out, and I put a second. It's written in a different way to the last one, but that is CSS. There's different ways of writing things. So this is defining the seconds, or it's 0.4 of a second, easing in and easing back out when we let go of the column there. So that's what that's doing there. And for the box shadow, I'm adding it here. Now on one of the columns, I've added it already using the settings that are in the column anyway, but I've got none here. And then I'm just having it come on hover. Now there's a lot of great generators around here, and I've put a link to one so you can kind of see how things are working with one of these generators. If we just let's see, oops, I got this going all over, but hopefully you can see here that I'm moving the box shadow over here. So this is quite handy, but I actually find if you keep a little note, or you can even memorize it, it's pretty easy to understand what's going on with some box shadow written like this. So this is going horizontal, vertical, blur, spread, and color. So I've got no horizontal. I've got on the hover here, we've got 15 pixels. Now this could be minus, so I can have it go the other way. And I've got 20 pixels on the blur there. So that's kind of what I'm getting there, so I can blur it out further. And then I've got 0 spread. So if we had no blur and some spread, it kind of looks like borders. So that's the effect. And then we've got the colors written as RGB. So this would be a black. So it's 0 red, 0 green, 0 blue. And then we've got the alpha here set at 0.3 here. So this is the transparency we're seeing on here. So it's given us a little bit of light gray. And I think that's pretty much all I need to say. There is one other bit of CSS that I've put in here. Now, if you are applying this using the clickable calls as I'm doing, so we're using it for the JavaScript and we're using it for the CSS, if you was to do that over here, there may be other ways around it, but what I wanted to do was to make sure that the child columns weren't going to be affected by the same CSS here. So what I've done on each of these, I've gone and put no effect in the child columns here, and then I've set this to none with the transform and the box shadow. Okay, well, you probably didn't need to know any of that on the CSS at the end. I just thought I'd throw that in. Thank you very much for your time today. If you did like this video, then please give it a thumbs up because it really helps me, and consider subscribing to the channel. And I hope to see you again in another video. Thank you. Bye-bye.